So this is my co-host Craze. I don't know if you could see him, whatever screen he's in.
Yeah.
The director of the show.
What's up,
has
man?
the
How
logo.
you doing?
And we are officially live on YouTube. Welcome to the show. It's our second anniversary, second year doing a podcast. Craze Boogie is setting up the hookah currently. You know that's the situation. He's getting himself ready. Justin's here. Clarence is here. And also with us today is 2011 Golden Gloves boxing champion, former Bantamweight champion, former Featherweight champion, and UFC Featherweight Julio Arce. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
What's going on, guys? Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yo, thank you for coming through, bro.
First of all, thank you for coming through. Thank you for being a Latino MMA fighter. Our audience wanted us to interview more UFC fighters, and we figured, why not Latinos? So you're not in camp right now. We were just having a conversation before we all got cut off.
Yeah, right now it's more like downtime, but not really downtime. More like just like a chance to kind of really, detail my game and really work on certain things to make better. So when I make my return, it's like a new improved.
So let's dissect that game for a little bit. I mean, you're a boxing Golden Gloves champ, so that means you got hands. I've seen some KOs. What do you think in your game? You're a 2-degree black belt under Tiger Showman. Shout out to Tiger Showman. What do you think in your game do you need to improve as far as in the MMA realm?
For me, I know I have to work strictly on more wrestling and being more offensive in my wrestling. My takedown defense, it's solid, but I think my wrestling offense could use a little more. And I know in a couple of fights I could have used it a lot more. It could have been even more helpful. So that's something I've been really focused on.
So wrestling heavy. And when can we see you return to the Octagon?
I think you'll probably see me return to the Octagon by next year, by like around, maybe January, hopefully around that time. And just, I'm looking to make my debut at 135.
So we were talking about that. Division of Killers, the hot division right now. So is there a fight you're like, I like that. It's interesting. It's challenging. Is there someone in mind that you have in your mind right now that you're aiming? I know, managers.
You trying to have him call somebody out live?
I mean, he's probably got a couple people in his mind.
I'll tell you what, though. There's a lot of fun matches at 135, so it's pretty hard to pick. I know, like the moment, like right now for me, I'm not ranked up high, so anybody that would actually have in mind would, they're above me. It makes no sense for them to fight backwards. But I know once I get like into the top 15, and there'll be a lot more. There's a lot of fun fights in there, so I got my eye on a bunch of people. So like right now, nobody specific in mind. I just want to make that debut at 35 and start really making a run for it.
Yo, but tell us, Rick, you kind of ran into like MMA mode real quick. I feel like
I did. I didn't go.
I need a little bit of background.
Yet.
I'm not a sports. I need a little bit of like background information. I feel like this is a lot for me right now.
So we do this podcast, and Craze is not a sports person per se at all. So he's strictly here to ask you those questions, life questions.
I'm here to learn, bro. That's why I do this podcast.
That's great though, because you have an outside perspective, and like I say, if you're not like a little if you're not like into it, it's great because you're gonna have questions that maybe people who are in it may not ask. So it's like I go for it, man.
Like, has anyone ever fucking pulled your beard while you were doing jiu-jitsu?
Wait, what? In a fight or just in general?
The fight, let's say.
In a fight, when you're up against the cage and the person's trying to press you, it's like your chin hairs get plucked. Man, I think I got like a bald spot here one time right here. It was a while back, man. There's some person like pushing their face against my like their forehead against it, and like I just feel the hairs getting pulled. I'm like, damn. It's like when you're younger and you got in trouble and your mom pulled your sideburn. That's kind of what it felt like. Exactly. You know what I'm talking about.
Damn. No, I'm not ready for this type of injury.
Craze wants to know more of your background. So you're from Queens, Bayside, Queens.
Yeah, you told us you were born in a state.
Florida.
I don't really, you know.
Oh, good. Man. Yeah,
But,
so I was originally born in Miami, Florida. You know, so, and then I came. Then I went to live in Colombia for a while, then came here, and then I've been living in Queens ever since.
For our Colombian fans out there, what part of Colombia?
Cali, Colombia.
Oh.
Cali. Yo. Cali women.
Here we go.
Oh my goodness. Oh. That's what
So you are from Queens. You were in boxing. You did the Golden Gloves tournament. What made you? I mean, you were also in Tiger Showman for a while. What made you want to get into MMA, mixed martial arts?
Did martial arts come first?
Yeah, for me, martial arts came first. I started training in Tiger Showman. I've been here for 19 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yo, Tiger Showman is that dude up here too. Like I feel like that. I don't know who he is, but I'm assuming I've seen I've seen a lot of Tiger Showman karates.
Yeah.
So I feel like big dog up here.
Yeah, man. It's like we are, we're an organization that spread through the East Coast, and we've had a lot of we've built like a lot of schools, a lot of great instructors, and only like we're not a fight school, but like me and my teammates who made it to UFC or yet the people who are in the amateurs, we're like the 1% that chose to take it a little further. For us, it's it's about teaching martial arts to the average person, whether it's, whether they want to just get in shape or they want to learn how to defend themselves, learn a little jujitsu. It's like we offer it to them and also show them that it's not, martial arts is not something that it's like you have to start young. Like you can still start martial arts now and still have fun. And the excitement of always continuing to improve no matter what. Right. Even if you throw a jab 1,000 times or 10,000 times, like there's always something to make it better. Right? So the sport keeps evolving. So it's freaking awesome.
So you started out with Tiger Showman. You're still affiliated with them, right? I guess.
Yeah, they're my main gym, my coaches and everything.
That's awesome.
Shout out to Hurricane Shane Burgos, Raymond Good, Jimmy Rivera,
Mike Trezano, baby. The whole squad.
So let's go into MMA. First of all, MMA is, for those who don't know, the weight cut thing. You mentioned you're going to Bantamweight. Originally, you were fighting at Featherweight, which is 145. And you walk around at?
I walk around right now, like 158, 160.
Okay. So that means that this young man has to get down to his weight Friday before the fight. And he has to get to 145 if he's fighting at 145. That's a rigorous process. He is going to take that process 10 pounds further down, and he is going to be challenging. I had pulled it up right now because I didn't remember who's up in those rankings, but it's Aljo, Marlon Moraes, Peter Yan, Cody Garbrandt, Frankie Edgar, Pedro Munoz, Jose Aldo, the legend, Jimmy Rivera, his teammate, Rafael Sanso, Rob Font, Dominic Cruz, a lot of killers in that division. For me, the Rob Font fight, I'm going to say right now, Rob Font to me is interesting to you and Rob Font, or maybe somebody like you and Dominic Cruz.
Dude, any one of those fights would be so exciting. Like I said, just as long as we do this weight cut, you do the weight cut right. I have a team behind me. I have this guy, his nutritionist, Frank Benedetto. He runs this thing called Counter Strike, and he does like my strength and conditioning, and also he monitors that we're eating, the right way to make sure that I get to a walk around weight, especially because this is a process that I used to do, and then I stopped doing. So now going back to 45 to 35, it'll be a little tougher, but I said, as long as I'm doing this right and I'm not just trying to like starve myself, it makes sense. So with the type of frame that I have, I can make 35. So, they're watching over that. They're making sure that, I'm weighing in, I'm getting to a good walk around weight. So the thing is, this whole time, since this whole pandemic hit and all this stuff, I've just been focused on just getting my weight down, getting to where a comfortable walk around weight. So then the cut is not drastic. It's not like a 30-pound weight cut when it could be like 10, 15 pounds, maybe less.
When you're switching divisions, Jose just did it. He took a really long time in between 45 and 35 because you wanna cut the weight so your walk around weight is down. You don't want to cut that extra weight during fight week. So, just talking about weight cutting because it's a subject that is very dangerous. People do not know. They just watch the fights on Saturday night. They do not know what goes on behind the scene. They do not know there's a 6 to 8 week fight camp where fighters get mauled for 8 weeks by their entire camp. And then they finally get to the fight week and they're probably injured, but they're not going to say it. They're doing a weight cut. They're drinking all this water loading, and they have to speak to the media, and you might run into the wrong person. And they're like, oh, this guy's an asshole. He wouldn't even take a picture with me. I mean,
there's so much that goes on. And I think now, like the way social media is, I think people have a better understanding than before. Yeah. Like before, look, it's fight week. So some people, like I said, everyone does their weight cut very differently. So like some people, they drop like 20-something pounds in like 24 hours, which is crazy. Some people, like I said, like for me, I'm getting to a walk around weight that I'm going to be very comfortable at. So then the cut is actually easier. And I just make sure, that, my nutrition is done right. So I get that done. But, like during fight week, I mean, I know, like, look, some people get so cranky while they're cutting weight and you're getting asked the same question over and over
again.
How you feeling? How's this? How's that? And you're just like, in your mind, like you have to you ever watch Madagascar? You're like little penguins are like, just smile and wave, boys. Just smile and wave. You have to like smile and just answer the questions pretty much. But in reality, just like, oh, guess like just.
I imagine you get this question a lot. How's the weight?
I just go like, weight's good. I'll be on that scale making weight soon.
How's the weight? And then there's always the obvious question about, how do you think you're going to win this fight on Saturday?
The best one is, how you feeling?
How are you feeling?
I'm getting ready to fight. How do you think I'm feeling?
I've been to a lot of these. Well, we do it in New York when the UFC's in New York. We'll do the media scrums over there.
Yeah.
And just some of the questions, and I'll be talking to the fighters, and I'll try not to repeat the exact same question, because if I'm sitting around the area and I heard you answer that question, why the hell would I want just to get that soundbite from you on my?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it is, though.
So I'll tell you what. In one of my fights, some person came up to me and they asked me like questions that had nothing to do with fighting. It's like the most. It's like some random stuff. You just like, it just made you think. You're like, what the hell does this have to do with anything? But you're like, all right, that was cool. It was funny.
You're gonna get those questions from Craze today. So
you froze right now for me, bro.
How do you feel about being a Latino in the UFC?
Dude, I'm actually excited. I'm so pumped, and I'm so honored that I get to represent the Latino community. Being in the UFC, especially Colombia, because like I said before, it wasn't there's only a small amount of us in there, and now I feel like we're getting our shot, and we got a lot of talent that's coming from there, and still even like people who are not in the UFC yet, who are Colombian, that want to get that opportunity, and now like a spotlight is getting put on them and like a door is opening for them to come through. Like, look, you got a lot of Mexican fighters though in the UFC, a lot of Brazilians, but now you got like we said before, you got Ecuadorian, Argentinian, Peruvian, Colombian, you got Cuban. Like, I mean, you got Puerto Rican. You like they're opening that door for us to like now come in and really showcase what we got. So it's great to be able to represent. And also just to bring so much joy to, look, in Colombia, everyone loves soccer. So it's like you really didn't pay attention to like the MMA side as much as you do now. But, like the UFC came along and you see fighters from Colombia coming in there. They're like, holy crap, there's talent there. Like, let's check them out. Let's give them a shot. So there's nothing better than that than to have other people given an opportunity. So it's it's great to see that. And also it just makes me proud, man. Give Latinos
give us a
like a
chance.
shot.
Let
Yeah.
us
You give
shine,
us a
man.
chance. Yeah.
There's more than just Brazilians.
I was gonna ask though, like in Colombia, is like martial arts, mixed martial arts, is it big? Like, would you say it's like because I feel like me and Rick were both Dominican. I feel like
Yeah.
I don't know that much about Dominican Republic.
We got Alex Garcia, the Dominican Nightmare. He
Yeah, but
trains with GSP in Montreal. That's the only
but as a thing in terms of like as a norm, mixed martial arts is not that.
No,
It's not as popular as it's like
baseball
baseball,
or
soccer,
sport.
all that. It's like but now that it's made look this whole pandemic, it's the UFC kept putting on their shows.
And they did.
So they did that, and they see like, okay, wow, it's like we didn't know there was talent like this talent here. Like, why didn't we look over here? Now all of a sudden it's like you got people coming out of everywhere, and they actually did an amazing thing by keeping their shows going because it gave a lot of people opportunities. So it put a spotlight on all Latinos, and I think it's great.
I think UFC had a unique opportunity too, though, because I feel like they had an opportunity to really be a little bit more safe than like the other sports.
It's the ref and the two fighters. Outside the cage, there's a numerous amount of people because the cut man and
but I mean, there's the ability to social distance to kind of like be a little bit.
There
more
is, safe. And Fight Island was a great idea, by the way. Just going to an island and just.
Hey man, they found a way. They found a way, and I'm so happy they did. They kept things going because imagine after that whole pandemic, you got no fights, you got no sports. It's like, what are you watching?
I think they were the first sport to come back.
Yeah,
they actually
didn't stop.
Yeah, I think they were the first one. I think they had to cancel like 2 or 3 events, but 3 weeks later, Dana had
turned it around.
Yeah.
I gotta give it to them, man. They turned that around quick.
So let's say the boss came to you and said, "Well, Julio, I like how you're looking at a 45, and gives you a top 10 name. Would you take that fight, or would you, or this Bantamweight thing? That's the division you want to be in."
That's the division I want to be in. Like I said, I think it depends where I was. If I was doing, if I'm in 45 and I was really.
You beat, hold on a second, because MMA math is real. I can't pronounce the guy's name correctly, but he lost to Calvin Kattar recently, and people were. Yeah, he took an L from you, so. You would have been. I get it.
Yeah.
You probably feel more comfortable at 35, but if there was a fight at 45 to make, that you would. Dana says this is the fight. Who would be the ideal guy that you would want to face?
Since I beat Ige, I'm pretty sure. Like I said, if I kept going at 45, me and him would meet down the road again. Mm-hmm. I think for me, like I would love Calvin Kattar. He's freaking
MMA math is real. So, and then you look at his body list. So I feel like you beat a fighter and you kind of like take the W's with you. I let's say you beat Jose and you beat a couple guys, and somebody comes and beats you, then that kind of like puts you beat him and he lost to Kattar, and I mean, that means you and Kattar could.
Yeah, I told you, I get it. Like you make the style and the match makes sense.
It does.
But I guess it gets to a point like when these guys are so high up in the rankings, sometimes it's tough because look, some people don't want to fight backwards. Like if we were unranked, like say we were not in the top 15, then it would make sense. But once people get in the top 15 or top 10. They don't want to fight somebody that's going to take that spot. They want to fight the people that are above them because then they're going to move forward towards the title. Let's say somebody that's like unranked, like somebody who's like ranked out the top 15, like 16, and he fights somebody that's number 5. I think for somebody who's a top 5, it puts a lot of pressure on because if they lose that fight, it's like you don't know where the rankings are gonna take you after that. And like they'll replace you in the rankings, that kind of thing.
That's why those fighters get a ton of respect from me. I like the fighters that are willing to take whatever the fight. You know, when Masvidal said, "Oh, word, Usman, I'll take it," and he drops all that weight, whatever. I mean, yes, it's for the title and it's a lot of money, but look at the time frame he took the fight on. So I get it.
It's a win-win for him. Look, you can't deny because he held his own the whole fight. I was rooting for him, and I'm like, yo,
I was 100%.
He pulls off this big upset, and as it takes out his tequila, it's like, yeah.
I honestly, I was rooting for him also. He did pretty good under those circumstances. I don't believe in moral victories, but you look at that fight and you got to respect Jorge.
Yeah, he did what he had to do.
What's a moral victory, bro? Tell me. Explain that to me.
A moral victory is when you don't win, but you walked away with something. So, for example,
I believe in moral victories.
Amanda Nunes, the baddest female MMA fighter on the planet. She just faced, I forgot her first name,
Felicia Spencer.
Felicia Spencer, right? Felicia Spencer is a natural 145er. Amanda, she fights up on that weight. And she took Amanda 5 rounds. Now, if you're Spencer, you walk away with that. I mean, she got wrecked. But you walk away like I took the champion to 5 rounds. I didn't let her finish me. So it's like, yeah, it's something you walk away with. Like, she's tough. She's tough like hell. She's a tough fight. So that's
you say you don't believe in fucking moral victories.
I don't believe in moral victories. I believe you walk away with something out of that fight that you could put into your next fight. So let's go back to Bantam because that's where the future lies. I'm gonna say Dominic Cruz for a lot of different reasons. First of all, matchup wise, stylistically, if Cruz wants to take a fight, I don't think he might be interested in fighting. First of all, he's a former champ, which gives you that. Also, you'll be facing a guy's incredible footwork. He's constantly moving around. So stylistically, if you were to say get over on Cruz or beat Cruz or KO Cruz, it would immediately jump you into, he's ranked 11th, but if you beat him, it would jump you into that top 10. Yeah. I believe.
Yeah, it's just, so you beat a legend. You beat somebody who's like a name in the sport, man.
2-time Bantamweight champ. So that would be an interesting fight. I said Rob Font. I mean, there's just a lot of good matchups.
Yo, I'm curious about, like, so I understand that it's mixed martial arts, right?
Mm-hmm. Here we go.
You come from a taekwondo, right? Let's say, is that the background? Base? Yeah. With some boxing, right? And so your style, is it a combination of that, or you would say like, nah, my MMA style is like different than what I would do?
So for me, we started, like I said, we're mixed martial arts. We started like, with, basic kickboxing and jiu-jitsu. So, we kind of instilled the discipline of karate. So I started off with like a pretty solid base in just kickboxing and jiu-jitsu. And I just build it up. And I think what happened is this is like back when I was an amateur, my coaches they're like, look, if you want to go professional, you have to fight in the disciplines that they have. So I did kickboxing matches. I did amateur MMA matches. I did a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments. And that's when they threw me into the New York Golden Gloves. And that was my first time doing like a boxing tournament. So it took me out of my element because I can't kick you. I can't take you down. I can't really grab you. I can't choke you out. So I just have to start throwing. I have to start, focusing on just my hands, which was great because, our coach, Tiger Showman himself, he's like, look, we're going to take you to a boxing gym and spar with these world champions, right? Get you ready. And, then they're kind of like cross-training with other gyms that, offered that to prepare me for the Golden Gloves. Same thing when it comes to like MMA fights. We have our team, and he'll take us to another gym. He's like, look, these guys want to cross train because also great work. You learn something from going with people from the outside. And it's like, it doesn't matter like how you do. It's like, we want you just to learn, because sometimes we're all training with each other and you kind of know each other so well, you get to like a stalemate. Like, all right, we need like new people. Like we have sometimes these other people come in. We have like wrestlers coming in from like college and like high school. They come in, they're doing all this crazy stuff, and they're not used to. Some of them are not used to what, jujitsu, the jujitsu style of it. So it takes them away. But then for us, it's like, all right, we want to improve our wrestling. Let's just wrestle them. And even if we get tossed around, it's like, doesn't matter. Like you're learning. So it's great, and we just, learn from every discipline. That's what they had me do. They're like, participate in this. And then when you go pro, you're not going to be one dimensional. You're not going to be, okay, if they take you to the ground, you're in trouble and that's it. It's like, no, they take you to the ground, you'll be comfortable there. If they want to strike with you, you're comfortable there. So they set the path for me the right way.
And athlete wise, who are people in terms of like fighting and styles that you are like, I would say, inspired by? Only thing I know about MMA is jiu-jitsu originated from the Gracie, there's a Gracie gym right here in the BX. I'm not sure which one of them it is, but I know there's one here, and I feel like those dudes to me. No, I'm saying, but here in the BX, I feel like that to me is like, okay, well, if you do MMA and you're heavy in the jiu-jitsu, probably you're looking at that like, bloodline and like that fucking like lineage fight wise to like inspire you. So like for you, who would that be?
Like for me, I watched a lot of like fighters. I know, like for me, a long time ago, I used to watch George St. Pierre is an excellent example of, like
GSP could do it all.
He did it all. But you're talking to a guy that, look, he just went in there and wrestled with some of the best wrestlers. He took people that were like, he's not gonna wrestle him, and took them down. I mean, when he took out Matt Hughes for the welterweight title, it was insane. What he did to, BJ Penn, like, you look at his resume, it's insane. But guess what? He probably took himself out of his comfort zone, and he's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to focus on this. I mean, he did gymnastics to help him kind of add to what he already has in his arsenal, which is crazy. So it's like, it's even like, look, you look at somebody like Lomachenko. His dad made him dance for like, took him out of boxing, had him do dance.
Footwork.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like little things like that it's great to see, because it's like, okay, if I do this, it's not, like, even though you might not want to do it, it's like, you're going to get something out of it. So it's like, the good thing is your coaches are setting the path for you, even though like, you're like, why am I dancing? Why am I doing this? And then when you realize like, oh, that's why, like, that makes sense. So,
my last question.
Oh, here we go.
And I'll let Rick take over. Is about, I asked a couple of our guests about this. I see you have a luxurious, beard, hair combination. And so, like, is hair care a part of your training?
Hair care, yeah. Definitely.
Like, you got to look good to fight good.
And, like, the tips, for keeping the beard luxurious. I know our fans as well as I do.
I'll tell you what, I'll be honest. You know how it took me a long time before I could grow a nice, like a good looking beard.
You had spots like me?
I had spots,
close?
yeah. Because I remember I had to do this thing called Movember. And it's like, so it's like, you raise money for, I think it was a prostate cancer. Yeah, men's health. So like, I was trying to just grow a mustache just for it. It looks horrible. But the thing is, like, as I'm trying to grow this thing, it was just such a struggle. And I'm just like, all right. And like, I would just grow patches. So I was just shaving off and only have like my mustache. And it just grew so weird. And then eventually, like, the hair started growing in.
You just got to keep shaving, like my uncle told me. And it'll
started
grow
using, like, the beard balm. You get the little beard balm. You like stuff to make the hair a little softer so it's not itchy underneath either.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Number one on Julio Arce's list going into fight camp is making sure his beard looks good.
His beard's luxurious.
According to Craze Boogie.
Luxurious.
So
Good
let
haircut
me ask you
too.
something. You are one of those rare people that has tipped your toes, so to speak, in boxing and in the
Mhm.
octagon. What's the difference? What's it like, being in an octagon opposed to a boxing ring? I mean, McGregor's done it, and then Holly Holmes has done it. There's been a couple other people that's done it. But boxing was so huge, and I feel like MMA has now surpassed it as a sport. What is the difference between the two disciplines?
I think that, like in boxing, like you're limited to just two of your weapons.
Mm-hmm.
As in, in MMA, you got kicks, you got elbows,
Wrestling.
you got wrestling, jiu-jitsu. So it's like,
Mhm.
it makes it more exciting. It makes it more dangerous in a way, because that it's like it's just such like a high stakes chess match. Like, even if you're great kickboxers, like the moment I grab you and take you down, I'm going to strangle you, especially if you don't know how to defend, or vice versa. You might be good at wrestling and jiu-jitsu, but if I kick you in the face, it's like, that's not going to help you. So it's like, it builds like more excitement, because it's like anything can happen. In boxing, it's great. It's very technical, but you only have the two weapons to your fists.
Your fist and your
two
footwork.
tools. Yeah, your footwork and your fist. I'll tell you what though, but it was exciting because it made me really just focus on just one aspect of it, and that's what I really liked about boxing. It's also very technical. It's like, you can't just go in there guns blazing, because you got either 8, 10, or 12 rounds. So if you get tired in the first two, you're fucked for the rest of them.
Yeah, that shit. That's why I fuck with boxing. I feel like it's really an endurance test. Like it's a marathon.
I mean, but 25 minutes of a guy pushing you up against a cage and putting his weight on top of you can also give you the same exact 12-round feeling.
That's true.
Because when you're doing a main event MMA fight, it's 5 minutes, 5 rounds.
Yeah, man.
And it's a long 5 minutes if you don't have no striking in there.
Nah, 5 minutes is a long time to be, exerting all your energy. Because I feel like rounds I think that's a big difference that you mentioned. In boxing, you got to kind of pace yourself. In MMA, you really got to kind of.
You don't really have much time to.
Yeah. You really got to use all your energy every round. I feel like you got to really exert all your energy.
Yeah. In MMA, it's like, say, you have a lot of opportunities to really break somebody down. Even if I can hold you against the cage for 5 minutes and just ground and pound you, you survive. Then I come out next round and I just start kicking your leg until you just can't stand on it. And then it's like, whoa, he just switched it up on me. So I think boxing is it's a very technical chess match. As a little bit in MMA, it gets a little wilder, because it's like, look, you could be beating me and all of a sudden I just come out of nowhere with a spinning back fist or an elbow, and then that's it, your lights are out. So like I say, there's a lot more opportunities in MMA that there is in boxing. So that's what makes it kind of more exciting. Imagine.
So what you're saying is you like to be able to elbow and kick people.
Yeah, man. Imagine now, look, somebody's tagging you up with their hands and you drive your shin right into their face and put their lights out. You're just like, like, it's over.
So let me ask you, you're a New York guy. What's it like, fighting in AC, Rochester, places like that? Do you get like a home vibe feel to it? And how hard is it to not eat buñuelos and some of the famous Colombian dishes while you're in fight camp?
Is there Colombian food? Is there Colombian food in Rochester?
No, he's from Queens. He's from Queens, but he's in Queens. So if he goes to Jackson Heights and he goes to Cositas Ricas or Los Chuzos, he's gonna be in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm coming back a welterweight. That's gonna happen.
Yo, arepas de choclo on deck.
Yo, man, I'll tell you what. I'll give a shout out. Have you ever been to Arepa Lady? That's the spot.
Where's she at?
Where is that?
It's in Jackson Heights. I gotta give you the address.
Is it on Roosevelt?
Yes, on Roosevelt. It used to be, and they moved their location somewhere else. Let me see if I can pull these guys up, right? Because that's the spot.
So how'd your parents take the news that you wanted to go into professional fighting?
You know, it was a little rough because I know, like, you know, moms are very protective. My mom was like, you know, why are you gonna do that? And she wasn't. She was like, you know, she was about the idea of me training and stuff like. In the moment, like, yo, I want to fight. You know, that itself was a little bit of a challenge, but I think now she's grown to understand, you know, like what I put 19 years of, you know, training into, and she's like, I get it now. I get it. I get why you love this. I get why you're doing this. Mm-hmm. Of course, you know, that trying to give her a heart attack when I fight, but you know, like,
does she watch?
She watches it too. She can't do it live. She did one fight where I was live. I think it was the MSG fight where I got really bloody. And yeah, that was like, that one was rough. I'm like, that's the hardest one to watch. You came to the toughest one.
Damn.
Yeah, man, if you were to see, I'm sure you could pull up a picture somewhere, but I fought an MSG.
That's the Moraes fight, I think.
Yeah, the Moraes fight. That fight
230.
got bloody, man. And we went to a split decision. It's insane.
You know, a friend of mine, really huge MMA fan, he gave me a perspective on looking at, like, lost records. Mm-hmm. He says throw away the decisions because some of those fights could go either way. Just look at the actual putouts. Yeah. So, like, if I look at your record right now, let's see, it's 16 wins, 4 losses, but 2 of those are split decisions. So you realistically got 16 wins and 2 losses.
Yeah.
And the 2 losses weren't even in the UFC. That's way back when. Bring up combat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I look at records. So if I look at Nate Diaz, for example, he's got a ton of losses, but a lot of those are decisions. You got to take those out of the equation. So as far as, like, the fight week, you didn't tell me, is it hard to stay away from those home-cooked meals? Or does your mom or the family knows when you're coming over to a gathering or something? Because we're Latin and we do big gatherings. Do they have, or do you bring your own stuff with you?
I'll tell you what, you know, at first, you know how mom gets like, "Está muy flaco, come más." Yes. And you're like, "Mom, cut weight." It's like, no. Here's a giant plate of food for you. Here you go. And you're just like, but you know, my mom, she learns to understand. It's like, okay, it's like, are you cutting weight? It's like, all right, I'll make you this on the side for you. So, but before it was like, why are you so skinny? Eat something. Eat this. Have this
food. Yeah. So the parents are supportive.
Yeah, they are.
That's good. Do you have any younger family members that want to go into fighting, that look up to you and ask you for advice, or students that you might have in your gym?
I have a lot of students. I have a lot of students in my gym that, you know, they ask me, they want to go into this. Mm-hmm. And I think I tell them, it's like, look, if you want to be a fighter, you can't just say you want to be a fighter, right? You have to be ready, you know, to sacrifice, you know, a lot. You
have to be ready to get punched in the face.
You got to be ready to get punched in the face. And you got to be ready to give up a couple of things. Mm-hmm. You know, trust me, you have no idea how many people here, you know, you hear saying, "Oh, I want to fight. Oh, I want to do this. I want to make it to the UFC." I was like, okay, are you ready to put in the work that a fighter has to put in? Because there's one thing, say you want to be a fighter, and there's another thing that you put in the work to be a fighter.
What are some sacrifices that you've made to be a UFC fighter?
Tell you what, you know, like I started since I was 13, and then, you know, the moment I started training, like, I fell in love with training, and I was given the opportunity to, like, yo, by the time you turn 18, it was like, you can fight. And I just honed my skill. You know, I gave up. Look, to be honest, like, I gave up, like, you know, I don't drink. I didn't go out and party at all. I just focused on, yo, let me train.
No aguardiente for you.
Nah, man. Only on special occasions. Only if I have to. If I go visit my dad in Colombia, he knows that we're gonna have a drink together.
So you gave out, like, hanging out with friends. I'm pretty sure most of your friends are just training partners and team members. You gave up drinking. what else as far as like, because there's a lot of sacrifices.
I'm telling you, you give up a lot of time of your life. Like, look, you give up going to party, you give up hanging out with friends. The good thing is like you have friends that understand what your lifestyle is like. Then it's great because they'll be like, yo, I get you. It's not like you're just trying to ghost me and you just like you're training. It's like, I understand. And then like when they see me achieve this, I was like, yo, man, I'm so happy for you. And I'm like, yo, I'm like thankful that you guys understand, because I have like a bunch of friends from high school that, they're like, yo, ever since we see you like running down from Cardozo High School all the way to go to the training.
Wait,
gym.
You went to Dozo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yo, shout out Cardozo.
Shout out to Cardozo High School. Our director, his wife went to Cardozo. She's Colombian also, from Queens.
Really?
Yeah. So shout out to Cardozo.
Yeah. All high school. Can't believe there wasn't a 10-year reunion. But yeah, man, like it's like I would always just run from Cardozo High School all the way to the school to train, and I would just keep doing it over and over. And I'll be like, the couple of times that I would go hang out, they'll be like, dude, how's training going? I mean, I can't wait to see you in like the big leagues. And then they, like I said, they would be understanding, as most people. And I'll be like, and I'll actually like thank them, be like, yo, I thank you guys for your support. I thank you guys for just being there and sticking by through me. Like, I know like we don't hang out as much, but it's like, thank you guys for understanding the fact that,
this is your life. You have to live
this is my lifestyle. Yeah. And they're all about it. Even my family, like sometimes I gave up, like a lot of family time, and especially as Latinos, like we're all like, we're all about family. But the thing is, they understand that I'm working hard towards something big in my life. It's not like I'm going out and just, screwing around. It's like, no, I'm putting in work, because I want to make it to that high level. And even when I got to the UFC, I was like, yo, we can't stop now. Okay.
I just got here. This is where the work begins.
Yeah, exactly. All that work that we got to make it here, now we got to double it. So, at first, many people wouldn't understand. They would just, especially since like when the UFC was still kind of like in its younger stages, and people don't understand. It's like, oh, you fight? Why would you do something so barbaric? Why would you do something? Why
barbaric is the common term that I hear a lot. Like, why do you watch that? It's barbaric. Why do you? Yeah.
And the thing is, people don't get it. It's like, fighting's been around for the longest time, right? And people say it's barbaric, but when you actually get to know like an actual fighter, yeah, we're back. To
quote you, it's a chess match, actually. Yeah. That's why I love watching an MMA fight so much. I mean, there's just so many different parts so many ways a fight can end. Yeah. And so many disciplines that go into it. It's just, you got the feints that are going on, the little matches between the two fighters, because there's stuff going on. The mental warfare. It's a lot that goes into it. So you painted a very beautiful picture of the sacrifices that fighters put through. Now let's say, what's that post-fight meal look like when you're winning and you're going back to the locker room? Because you get some time to take some time off, a few days off, and what's that look like? Give us the glory of it.
Like one of the best things is, like also sacrifices. You have to give up a lot of delicious things that you like to eat. So for me, like the moment I'm done with a fight, I'll eat anything. I'll go to any freaking restaurant, but the best thing is I'm going to have myself like a nice juicy steak with some ice cream on the side, ready to go. Like I'll have like, I'm like, yo, give me like this giant chocolate chip cookie with like 2 brownies, some sundaes on there. And let me just go to town, man. It's like, I remember when I fought in AC, and me and my teammate Shane, that we fought in the same card in Rare Combat, and we had this thing at the Tropicana. It's called the tugboat, and it's like this thing. Looks like it's like boats. It was like this big, just all ice cream and brownies, and we just freaking downed that thing. But it was amazing.
And then afterwards, when you have to go to the gym after eating something like that,
holy crap, dude! It's like we paid for it, but it was worth it. It was worth it. It was worth it. The bathroom trips were horrible, but
yo, I was gonna say, if you don't eat, like right now I'm doing even though I do hookah all the time, I'm not really eating. I'm doing like a smoothie thing that this nutritionist that I've been talking to put me on. But I feel like when I don't eat anything that has to do with like sweets and like and you know, like you mentioned chocolate or what, brownies or cookies or some shit like that, and you go on a binge, the bathroom shit afterwards is like
like no other. Like no other.
Just imagine a diet of a fighter, and they're going afterwards having like alcohol and like burgers and steaks and all that. Their stomach is not used to that for at least a couple months.
That's why you see some fighters and they're not crazy ripped for a reason. We're all fat boys at heart. Come on, there's like no fighter can deny that. We're all fat boys at heart.
That's what it is.
So what's the long-term goal here? Is it that UFC gold? Is it make a nice chunk of change where you can start your own school, or where do you see this career going?
I want to be a fucking world champion. That's
World
it.
champion?
I want to go to 35. Look, I want to focus on becoming a world champion. The money and everything will come on its own. Like, I'm doing it for the love of this. I love fighting. I love training. You know, every day I'm doing what I love to do. Look, I teach martial arts. I have my school in Bayside, Queens. And you know, this is
how do you have a Taekwondo school based? It's not near Bell, right?
It's right actually on Northern. You know where the precinct 111 is?
Yeah.
Tiger Solomon School right there. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not near that strip on Bell where all those bars and great.
We used to be there, and we moved out of there because it started getting a little crazy there.
Gotcha.
But the long-term goal is world title.
So.
I think there's never been a Colombian world champion in the UFC.
We're ready.
I might have to look that up. I don't think there's ever been.
No.
We're ready for the Colombian world champion.
Yeah, I think we're ready for a Latino world champion.
Yeah, man.
I don't think we've had any. I don't know. I mean, Masvidal had the title fight. Oh, Henry Cejudo. But you know what? Mention his name. I don't like Henry Cejudo at all. I feel like, you see, we're having this conversation, and I feel like he puts on a persona or a show. It's not necessary. You could be yourself. You know, he tries to be more of like, you know, Colby Covington does the same thing.
Yeah.
I think Conor is that way. He just amplifies himself certain notches. But
yeah, sometimes it's just not natural for people. It's like, look, like for me, I don't need to talk shit.
Yeah.
You know, and if I did try to forcefully try to talk shit, it would just be so unnatural. You're just like, oh man, it leaves like a bad taste in me. Like, why'd I do that? So like,
if your opponent did rib at you though, would you come unnerved? Or, I mean, during the face-off, obviously if they shove you or something, but would there be something that would like make you lose that control?
Why
especially at a press conference?
Why would he tell us that?
I'm just saying.
Well, look. I had a fight in Utica. This guy Daniel Tamer is the Swedish dude, and like he was a lot shorter than I was. And it was funny because if you look at our standoff picture, he got on his tippy toes and literally got in my face. Like he got so close, he like headbutted me, and I like he was trying to act like super tough, trying to be super tough dude. When every time I was seeing him in the hotel, he'd be like, his whole team would be like, hey, what's up? He'd be like, hey, what's up?
You see, I've seen that before. I've been in the hotels with the fighters, and I've seen them. One of them's like, really, you're gonna say what's up to me? And then at the press conference, it's like, oh, let's make this spectacle go. By the way, that fight ended in a rear naked choke, in case you guys were.
Yeah. but it was one of those. It's just like, I'm like, dude, why are you getting in my face? Like, all I did was smile. Like, I just smiled at him, and he was just like, literally on his tippy toes, trying to get to my level and height, which is what made it funnier because I'm just like, dude, you're on your tippy toes. You're trying to get up to my face. Yeah, I'm like, so I just smiled at him, and I think it's just the fact that, you know, look, I smile at everybody, and people just see like, yo, there's something behind that smile that it's gonna be a fucking fight. Just know that. Just know I'm like, you can get my face, you can say whatever you want. Just know that just make it to that octagon and we're gonna fight. That's it.
Have you ever had? I'm not sure if you have somebody miss weight.
Back in the ring of combat days, I had a couple of people that missed weight, and I'm just like, I'll fight you, man. It's like I didn't show up here to have my fight.
Does it disappoint you though? Because you put in all this work to make sure you do your thing professionally, and you get to the weight, and then this guy's overweight or underweight or whatever.
It's annoying, but in a way, it fires you up more because you're just like, you didn't have the discipline to make the weight. It's like we gave you 8 weeks and you missed weight and you couldn't do it. So that alone itself gives you a mental edge. Just like, I know I put in more work than you, because when you were busy eating this and thinking you were going to make weight, you didn't. It's like, I was working harder than you. And that alone gets you fired up. It's like, I got a mental edge already over you because you're feeling like crap because you didn't make weight. And you're trying to.
And you're losing some of your purse also.
Yeah, that too. I mean, I know that hits everyone when they can lose like 30% of the purse. Yeah, man.
So on this show, we started. Normally, we do this live.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to bring you back on the show when we're back to normal, live and in person.
Yeah.
Let's do it in Queens, maybe.
We'll do this one in Queens. We normally shoot in Washington Heights, where I'm originally from, but I've been living in Queens for 5-6 years, so now I'm more Queens than Uptown. But we came up with this concept of 3, 2, 1. 3 things you've been watching during this quarantine, 2 things you've been listening to, and 1 thing you do to keep your sanity.
All right.
So let's go with the 3 things you've been watching first. What are 3 things you've been watching during quarantine?
3 things I've been watching. First, I've been watching a lot of cooking shows because
doesn't that tempt you though? Like you're trying
to nonstop.
No, which one? I've been watching the one, the Selena Gomez one, and I actually fucking love that one.
Yeah. You know which one I used to like watching? The one with I think it was Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart.
Oh.
Yo, that was a fucking good one.
That was good, man. That was a good show. I was watching Ozark.
Ozark's a great show.
Love that show.
Dude, you know what show I just finished? I just finished watching both seasons of Cobra Kai. I was like,
yo,
I'm halfway through the 2nd season, but I think it hits closer home to you, doesn't it? I mean, it also gives you a little nostalgia with the Karate Kid.
I fucking love it, bro. It's fucking great.
It was a great show. I loved it.
Yo, it's great, man. I have like the basis, like, do you think the old Cobra Kai way was too hard? So it's better than new soft Cobra Kai? And like, we just have the base of, I'm like, hey, man, whatever works for anybody. It's like,
what I like about it, it gives you an explanation of why Johnny Lawrence is the way he was in the movie.
My favorite thing is like his
retelling. Like a deeper perspective of the characters.
My favorite.
Tell me not the soundtrack that they had for that whole season. 80s rock nonstop jamming to Cobra Kai soundtrack. What?
Yo, my favorite part about that show though is his retelling of the shit that happened, which is like he was being bullied.
Story, yeah.
Like he was like being bullied.
You know, have you ever watched How I Met Your Mother, Julio?
Yes, I watched that whole thing. I love that show.
So Barney Stinson is a fan of the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
And he thinks the Karate Kid was William Zabka, not Ralph Macchio. So I think like watching that show and then leading into Cobra Kai, kind of like, you start feeling like, it is Billy Zabka. You know, Ralph Macchio was the bully. He came into town. He took this guy's girl.
You know what I rewatched? I rewatched the entire Office. I
did that recently too. Yeah,
I could never stop watching that show over and over. It's just,
I watched it like 3 times. That show fucking amazing.
I'm gonna. If you've never seen, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yes,
that's a good show. And The League. If you like actually, I'm doing a fantasy football draft right now. Yahoo's picking on my team. The League is a very funny show. Just to recommend you. Oh, and Money Heist on Netflix.
Money Heist.
Watched it. Yeah.
Haven't watched it. I heard good things about it.
Very good show. What are 2 things you're listening to currently?
Or reading.
Or reading. It could be an audiobook and stuff like that.
Right now, I'm just I'm listening just podcasts. Of course, I listen, nonstop Joe Rogan because he always has just interesting people on there. And I'm halfway with the one he's doing with Mike Tyson, right? That he just did with Mike Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just wild, man.
Mike Tyson's podcast is very interesting.
Yeah,
Hot Boxing is a good show.
Yeah. And then I listened to a little bit like, The Fighter and the Kid, Below the Belt, like whenever it comes to like fighting and you learn, just
so no Ariel Helwani.
A little bit of Ariel Helwani. It's like sometimes I just like some of these other podcasts because they kind of go into like a lot of random shit. So it's like they'll start like, oh, it's fighting, and then it derails to something else. It is like
when they do fight companions, when it's like Brandon Shaw, Joe Rogan, and
it's hilarious, man.
All right, so you listen to podcasts, but you don't listen to ours. That's terrible.
well, now I heard about Rick, so I'm gonna be right hearing this podcast more.
So what's one thing you're doing to keep your sanity during the quarantine?
Well, look, I just play some video games, and you just do a little bit of reading, man. Do a little bit of mental training as well, because a lot of times, through like the fighting career, you're just going so much that you don't take the time to really sometimes just slow down and be like, yo, man, and enjoy it. This is, although the shit's been crazy all over the place, like in reality, it's like use this like as a benefit. It's like, look, you're taking like a small break from this, and you get to focus on something you haven't done. I think there's like a lot of the mental aspect of it, because we're constantly just like training, cardio, this, that, like, and not a lot of people have the time to kind of sit back and just be like, just do like a little mental training for yourself. And right now, hanging with my niece because she's cutest freaking thing ever.
Julio, I want to thank you for coming on to the podcast. You're more than welcome to do another episode with us. Even if you want to be a guest host also, where we interview someone else, we can also do that.
Dude, I can reach out to Shane or Lyman or Jimmy.
I think you're a good time. I would love to have Shane, Lyman, or Jimmy on the show. Either any of those. Good luck at Bantamweight. We'll be rooting for you, man. Not because you've been on the show. It's just we'll be rooting for you, man.
I don't watch MMA fights, and now I will watch when you fight.
We'll do when the fight is booked. We'll do a viewing party.
Man, dude, I would love it. But definitely, look, I'll let Shane, Lyman, Jimmy know. Like, these guys would love to be part of it. They all have their own amazing stories. So
more than happy to have those guys, especially Shane's story when Shane had long hair. I think it was his first fight in the UFC.
Yeah.
And during the fight, he told his cutman to cut it off.
Yeah.
One of the wildest things.
Our boxing coach Ray Velez was like, "Yo, man, we got to cut this thing." He did a barbershop.
Shane was like, "Go ahead." In between rounds. I had never seen something like that before.
Say what? Shout out to the cornerman and boxing coach extraordinaire Ray Velez. Man, he's an amazing boxing coach, and that dude can do it all, man. He lives in Queens.
Yo, another Queens dude.
So
you need to put some Colombian food after your fight too.
That's right.
Maybe, let's say, if you do MSG again, I think you should just immediately leave the Garden and go to Jackson Heights and just celebrate on Jackson Heights with some really good Colombian food right after a good win.
Dude, I'd be down, man. You get good people freaking celebrate over there. Throw it up.
Shout out to Tiger Show in the school.
Always.
Shout out to my man, Julio Arce. We look forward to seeing you in the Octagon again. Hopefully,
and say Arce, thank you for coming through.
Thank you for coming through.
Thank you guys for having me. This is amazing. I can't wait. I can't wait to do this again. This is a great podcast.
Oh, in person, we'll bring some surprises in person.
Yeah.
And then Craze will challenge you to something. You usually do a segment called Craze's Challenge. Maybe Craze will challenge you to a wrestling match or something. We'll bring you back. It should be a lot of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, Julio Arce, UFC, Bantamweight now, former featherweight. Good luck at Bantamweight. Keep doing what you're doing and have a successful cut down to 135, right?
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. You guys take care.
Have a good night.
Take care, man. Have a good one.